All right, so yesterday we poured this foundation. Today is above freezing, so we need to get this thing waterproofed because today is the only chance we have, and then after that it's going to be below freezing and we can't waterproof it anymore. We're going to be using a peel and stick. It's a product by Polyguard, and applying peel and stick below freezing is fine, but you need to put a primer on the wall, and that primer is water-based. And you can only prime an area that you're going to be putting the peel and stick on the same day. You can't prime it ahead of time. So we got to race against the clock here to get this waterproofed so we can backfill this before the spring. So we're going to concentrate on these front walls here because the back walls, first of all, are going to be mostly exposed, and second of all, they're not really helping us because they're going to be backfilled at a lower angle. It's going to be like a triangle like this. That's how it's going to be backfilled. I want this backfilled so that we can access this to build. Otherwise it's a pain and we're going to have to create a bridge going across. So the goal is to get this waterproofed today. We can backfill this immediately after because we got some short walls with corners. If we had long walls, then we'd have to wait until the floor is installed, but we got short walls on the front here with corners, so we can backfill this almost immediately. So let's get right to it. So the first thing we need to do is clean up the footing and clean up anything on the wall, like excess concrete.
Alright guys, so here's the deal. I have a whole bunch of extra fill at my property here at my house, and I want to bring it to that other property where I'm doing all the work. And somebody is going to be buying this excavator in a few weeks. He's committed to buy it, but I told him I really need a few weeks just to kind of transport some dirt first, and he was okay with that. So that's what I'm doing right here. And you'll see me throughout this video. Before and after I pour the foundation, I'll be loading up some fill and bringing it over there. I just want to get as much as I can over there because we got some bad weather, and I also need some of this to backfill the foundation, which is my next project. I hate the idea of selling this machine. I really wanted to keep it. I love this machine. It's a nice, smooth, and big machine. You get a lot of work done, and I did a lot of work to this machine. But at the same time, I have to build this house to be able to sell it, and money's running out. It costs a lot of money to build a house. So I gotta do what I gotta do to keep going.
like to try to keep it off the road in the wintertime unless it's completely dry. Because right now it's just splashing salt onto the frame on this thing. And I've actually never done that before with this truck, or my semi-truck, or the deck over, or the lowboy. But I got to get this done. Right now it's Saturday, and the guy that's buying my excavator is coming to pick it up on Tuesday. So I got today, tomorrow, and Monday to get as many loads as I can over to this property. And I just can't afford to sit around and wait for the road to dry up. So I'll have to give this thing a bath when I'm done. I'm sure that that will be the first bath it ever takes. Not a lot of people wash their dump trucks. Maybe when they're brand new, but after a few years, they don't bother anymore. It is what it is. Gotta get stuff done. So it looks like no matter what, we're just going to be struggling, I guess. There's still about a quarter of a box of dirt in here. I think I've said this before, but I should rename my channel to Watch Me Struggle. It just seems to be the name of the game all the time. A lot of people comment all the time, why aren't you working on the dream truck? Why aren't you working on the house? Why aren't you working on this? Why aren't you working on that? Listen, I don't choose what I want to work on. Some things just have to be done. Like, this should have been done 2 months ago, but I was waiting on plans and building permits and just like hurry up and wait all the time. And like, of course, the last week was above freezing every day, but the excavator was down and I had to pour that foundation, so just nothing works out. But I'm not complaining. It is what it is. It's like, I'm so used to it. It's not even a thing anymore. But for those of you that are wondering why I'm not doing this, why I'm not doing that, this is the reason. I don't get to choose what I want to work on. It chooses what I get to work on. I got to get this done because I know that unless I bring an excavator over to my property, after selling the other excavator, I'm not going to have a way to load this dirt. I got the track loader there, but I just don't think that that's going to go well with frozen piles. And right now I'm trying to buy a wheel loader, but that's going to be even worse. It's just not going to get enough traction to go into these frozen piles. So I just got to get this done. Otherwise I got to transport an excavator, and as you can see, I don't want to be transporting anything at this time of the year. If I was going to do that, I'd probably hire somebody else to do it, because I just don't want my trailers and trucks on the road with this salt. That's why it's so important to get this dirt over there as soon as possible. I figured this truck, I'll sacrifice a couple days in the salt and then I can go to the car wash. But doing that with my semi-truck and the low boy, it's just not really feasible. You can't get underneath that thing. I'd rather just not let it touch the salt ever. This thing sits high enough off the ground where you can kind of get it, but it's also a short vehicle, so it won't take that long. But the car washes around me, they don't even use hot water. So you're spraying cold water on your vehicle and it's freezing right to it. It's stupid the way they do that. They charge you $10 for a car wash for 3 minutes and then you get cold water. I don't care about all the other stuff. I just want some hot water. So if any of you are wondering, is this worth it to bring this little amount over to the property, one truck at a time? So here's the math. I'm carrying about 8 yards, and if you were to go to my local quarry and buy just fill, just normal fill, between buying it and having it delivered, you're looking at $20 a yard. Right now, I'm paying less than $1 a yard to transport it. I'm paying $5 per trip, so $5 for 8 yards versus $160. So you can see that a 30-minute trip would save me at least $150. That's pretty good money when you think about you're earning basically $300 an hour, and that's after you pay for fuel. So that's really not too bad when you think about it. Now, if I was going to the quarry and buying fill, that's a whole different story. Because then I'd be paying probably, I think it's $12 a ton for the cheapest stuff they have. So then at that point, I don't know if it's really worth it. Then at that point, you might as well have them truck it in for just a little bit more money. I was thinking about seeing if somebody with a triaxle would do this for me and I could just load them up and they could just keep bringing it over. But this time of the year, it's hard because they're going to face the same thing that I do with stuff sticking to the box of the truck, and they're going to be dealing with salt roads. There's just not a lot of people that are willing to do that with their trucks. And there's a lot of big rocks, and some of these trucks, they got aluminum bodies on them, so you can't really ask them to be taking these giant boulders, dropping them in their box like that. I don't know. It's something I thought about, and if it was a different time of the year, it would probably work out, but it's not going to work out right now. I think what I'm going to do is just get the minimum amount of fill that I need to do what I need to do now, and then later on I want to make like a little bit of a parking area on the hillside, so I'll need a bunch more fill for that. So in the spring, if I don't have a triaxle by then, I'll probably hire somebody to just go back and forth, and I'll just load them up.
it's so convenient with that big excavator because 4 big scoops is all it takes to fill up this truck. So 2 yards a piece, I could definitely load it up other ways, but it just takes a lot longer, and you don't have near the reach that you do with that machine. But just to give you an idea, the only reason I'm selling that machine is just because I'm putting out a lot of money to build this house, and I'm starting to run out of money, so I kind of need to keep some money so that I can keep building this house. Because if I get stopped, then it's going to cost me even more money. So I really didn't want to sell that thing, but I kind of have no choice. I could always buy another one.
So it is getting to the point where there's more dirt in this box right now than I just dumped on the ground, and I can't get it out. And taking it out with the excavator every time is getting really old. Something's telling me I should probably just give up. I don't like doing that too often, but this is really annoying. So since I'm getting rid of this excavator tomorrow morning, this will be the last chance for anybody to operate this machine. Noah has not operated this yet. He's 5 years old. He's been operating my skid steer, but he hasn't done too much on an excavator. A little bit here and there, but I might not get another machine this big for a while. So before I get rid of it, let's let the little guy operate it. All right. Hey, we could turn up the heat a little bit. There's some heat in here. Alright, turn up the throttle a little bit. There you go. See what you can do. Okay, don't slam it. Nice smooth options. Don't never just jerk it over, okay? Nice smooth. Watch here. If you want to scoop something, you bring the stick back and you bring this boom back at the same time, see? And you curl it a little bit. See, that's curling like that.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I know.
So watch. Here, we're gonna do it together. Ready? See how that's in and out. And this is boom up, boom down. This is curl out. This is curl in. And this is swing. But the swing is something you gotta be really gentle with the swing. Ease into it. You don't want to slam it.
Bucket so full. I know I'm doing that. Don't correct me. I don't get the wall because I'm dummy. I know I'm doing it. Yeah. I know I'm doing it. No, all that stuff is not bedrock. It's just snow. Because I know what bedrock looks like. And bedrock is up north. Because we hit it last time, remember? No. Like that. Doesn't get up. Let's go like that. Don't you do it, Bucket. Don't you do it. No, I'm doing that. Don't charge me.
There you go.
Now that's a big scoop for a ball. Dad, don't correct me. I know I'm doing. Correct me. I'm doing. Don't correct me. I'm doing.
I can't even begin to tell you how sketchy this was. It may not look like it unless you've done something like this before, but this machine was only on the trailer by about 8 inches on each side, and the slightest little movement and it was off the trailer. So also the trailer was sitting on about a 5% slope to the side, and that was enough to just make it slide off like you were on an ice skating rink. between the snow, the ice, the cold, and the cold steel, it was a nightmare.
There it goes. I'm kind of sad, guys. I'm kind of sad. I like that machine. Maybe I'll find another one in the future when financial means are better. Alright, so here's the deal. I got all this fill here, but that's it. I don't have any more to bring over because I don't have a machine to load it up with. But I think we got quite a bit. A lot of it's under the snow, you can't even see it, and there's a whole bunch behind the excavator. So we got, I think I brought like 160 yards over, so that's something. It's not as much as I wanted. I wanted like 200, but it is what it is. So the reason I brought that over was to expand this backyard here. Because right now there's only about maybe 25 feet from the edge there to the edge of this like cliff over here. So I want to expand the backyard, starting by raising up that area just slightly, and then a lot of fill needs to go out there. I want to go all into the woods there and just expand that way so that it's not like a drop off right here. I wanted like a nice gradual downhill slope, like maybe 10% slope. So we need a lot of fill to do that, and I only have enough fill to really backfill around this foundation, and that's about it. So if I want to fill back here, I had to bring some from another place. One thing I was thinking, I could maybe try to find a place where I could dig a pit, but let's just use up what we got for now and see where it goes. One thing that we're doing, we are working kind of backwards because this foundation is waterproof now, and I could be backfilling it, but I need a special attachment for my excavator to be able to backfill this with stone, and I'm not quite done with that. I need like one more night to get that done. So we're kind of working backwards. I really would rather get this filled in first, but I need that attachment to do it. So in the meantime, we're not going to sit around and do nothing. So let's get some dirt moved down to here, mainly with the skid steer, and I'm going to poke and prod around and see if I can find another place to get some more fill so that we can just get this all filled in right now. And we do need to fill in here too, because the grade needs to come up to that level. That's the bottom of the door. So that's almost 4 feet of fill that we need to put right here in this whole area. So I don't know if you can really tell on the camera, but that level is almost where we need to be, but down here is really low. So we need to fill this up and then fill all that in. So because there's a lot of ice on the ground, I think the first thing we need to do is take a few yards and just spread it out on the ground to be able to get some traction without sliding off the cliff with the skid steer. Just break it up with the excavator. It's gonna take us a little while just to get this path going down here because a lot of this stuff is frozen. Probably gonna have to drive over it with the excavator tracks, the steel tracks, just to be able to break it up. If we don't do this, we could have somebody sliding off the hill. We don't want that. So my job today is mainly just going to be breaking up these piles so that my brother Lucas can bring them down with the skid steer a lot easier, because there's giant chunks in here that need to be broken up. This stuff is just frozen. So right now, we're using a lot of fill to make a ramp going down to this lower section down here. We just filled all this in. Now we're just taking some of that dirt and just kind of pushing it down so we can make a nice gradual slope going down to this area here. Because this is like a tiered setup. Like there's an upper area that's flat, then it kind of drops down, and then we're gonna have a lower tiered area. Otherwise you just have like a slope the whole way, and it's better just to have like terraces. That way there's flat areas. Even though you have to step down, it's still a flat area instead of the whole thing being a slope. So just moving massive amounts of dirt here. We got this upper area here pretty much the way I want it though, so we don't really have to add much up here. Got enough room for the telehandler to move around, and that's what we need. So right now we're just getting our pipes cut to length, and then we're going to put the fabric in there and then put them back.
take the wings off, it's just a little bit faster. Just put the bucket over top of the pile, and then if it falls, it falls. And I'm doing that because I'm not that far from the pile, so I can just keep the bucket over top of the pile. Now if I was on the back side and I had to have a skid steer come to me, then I would put the wings on, that way we don't spill it everywhere. That way the skid steer can bring it down to me and I don't have to come all the way up to the pile. But luckily on the back side, it's fully accessible with the skid steer, so you don't need to worry about that. I don't need this on the back side. Luckily I got this blade on here. This really helps stabilize things, especially on this hill right here. You know, you're tilting down, but you can stabilize and level yourself out with the blade. That really helps. That helps keep you comfortable and safe. So I can reach right out with a full bucket. I wouldn't do that with a regular excavator, because as soon as you start tipping, you're tipping, that's it. But with this blade on here, I think you can get away with a lot more. That stuff is kind of frozen in there though. I can't wait to use this when everything's not frozen. Check this out too. Got this little spotted salamander. He's frozen right now, but I'm sure he's still alive. I'm thawing him out right now. That part that I'm backfilling right now with this stone, I can get to with the skid steer, but you know what? I'm here now. can't tell you guys how nice this thing is. Like, if I was using a bucket turned around backwards on this, you would not be able to get as tight as I can up against the foundation. This thing is like awesome. So I'm going to use this number 1 stone to backfill against the foundation. So the only thing touching this foundation is this number 1 stone. I'm not going to have any native backfill because there's so many rocks. See all the rocks that I got to backfill? I don't want to touch the foundation with those rocks. I'm still going to protect the foundation with this stuff in the back of my truck. This is a roll of very thin insulation. It's like a foam insulation. It's about a 3/16 thick, and I got that roll for free. Probably like a 500-foot roll right there. It's about, I think it's 4.5 feet wide. So, although I should have put it right down to the footing, I think it's fine the way it is. If we just start where we are right now with the stone, put that stuff on, and it really doesn't even need to be there because I'm backfilling with this number 1 stone, so it's not going to really damage that waterproofing. But we have the roll of stuff, so I kind of didn't think about it until today, and I brought it with me, and most of the foundation already has a stone on it. I'm so glad that this machine can reach all the way out with the boom fully extended with a full bucket of stone, and it's no problem. I'm really glad to see that. I don't know if I'd want to do that on the side of the machine because you could tip over pretty easy, but with the blade down I feel comfortable reaching all the way out, even with a downhill on my front side. So the plan right now is going to be, moving forward, we're going to put that protectant on there, that foam layer, and then we're going to backfill this in increments where we're going to put some of this against the foundation until it's piled up enough where we can backfill some native soil against it and it won't hit the foundation, and then you put more of the number 2 stone on, and then you just keep going back and forth. We're in for 2 feet of snow in 2 days. So the race is on to get this thing backfilled. But I'm also waiting on the building inspector right now, so I don't know if it's gonna happen. Because if I don't get the go-ahead in the next few hours, then we won't get this backfilled before the snow hits, which is gonna be a pain. It's one of those things where I wasn't done to the point where I could get an inspection until right now, and now I'm waiting on the building inspector. So I mean, it's not his fault. You know, I got the blade up right now. Let's see if this thing will tip with it all the way extended. No, I mean that's full right now. That's over full, and we're not tipping even with the blade. The blade is up. It's tipsy though. Let me see. Yeah, so that's... Whoa, okay. Yep, we're tipping. Yeah, if you can get about a foot to the end and then it'll tip. but I had it literally probably less than a foot from being extended. So that's not too bad. I'll just make sure that wherever I'm reaching out to, the blade is in front of me and down. And this snow that we're getting was not supposed to be here today. We're getting a lot of snow that isn't on the forecast. So one thing that I got to keep in mind doing this backfilling here, I'm going to have a porch that's going to wrap from there and around this way and then around back. So it's like a U-shaped porch. It's only 6 feet out, but I need to make sure that I can put some sonotubes with footings in about 5 feet out. So the issue is I don't want to backfill with native backfill, even though that's mostly rock and it would probably be fine. I guess if I can use the really clean stuff, maybe I can do that. But I don't want to be setting footings on any kind of soil that can compact, like regular dirt, because then there's no way for me to put that on there and then it not settle. So I think the plan is going to be to backfill this up to at least 4 feet with just solid stone around this whole area right here. And then that way I know that I'm on solid ground and I don't have to worry about dirt compressing. I was thinking I could put the sonotubes in now, but I really don't want to get involved in that right now. It wouldn't cost me that much in stone just to fill the whole thing in with stone right here, just to 4 feet. And then leave it 4 feet down right there, set my sonotubes, and then I can backfill around that with regular backfill. From there, going around that side though, I can fill fully to the top. That way we can have good access when we start framing here. So after that big storm, we got all the snow cleared out. Now we're ready to backfill. So the plan of attack is that we're gonna start taking from that pile right there. I'm gonna take some scoops with this excavator, loosen it up so that the skid steer can just push it over the edge. So remember, when we jackhammered for this foundation, this is where I put some of the rock that I took out. So this is basically 95% rock. So being that it's frozen, the skid steer is going to have a hard time in that pile. So I'll break it apart, make a nice thin layer on the driveway right here, and then he can just push it in there like a dozer.
this whole front section, we're gonna be right up to the top of the foundation. We just gotta put another layer of that protectant, just a half layer or whatever, then we can keep going. But we're all out of stone, and the stone yard is closed, so we'll come back tomorrow and bring another load of stone and get the rest of this backfilled. This is pretty quick work, mainly because the backfill's right there. That thing over there, I haven't seen it in a while, but it's nice. Actually have a lot more backfill than I thought. I thought we would use up this pile pretty quickly, but this pile will more than finish what we need. And then we still have a bunch of piles out there. So that's really good. I'd say we're only gonna need about half of this, which is good because the rest of everything that I got is gonna go down there. The more I can bring down there, the more of a staged platform we have. Top tier and lower tier could both use some more fill. Getting used to this, using this adapter on here, because it's opposite of a skid steer. To dump, you're going left with the control, not right. It's opposite of a skid steer. That should save a little time. Now we got the tooth bucket, so it's a little easier to pick up some of this rock because it's so frozen. And having the tooth bucket on it will work a lot better. So all around, I think we're just going to be more efficient today. Lucas, pick the bucket up slightly. And you also got to make sure there's no ice in between. If there's even a 1/4 inch of ice, it won't go.
right here. Biggest downfall to having this bucket versus the other one is that I need to be perpendicular to whatever I'm working on, which won't work on the other side. I think it'll work on this side though, so it should make it a lot easier now, but I'm gonna have to switch to the other bucket later. So I'm gonna backfill down in that area. How this goes. I can't put too much down pressure on it. Just this machine is just too powerful. This might not work. I'm like too close to it. Gotta get over here. Yeah. It'll kind of work. Get in the spot that I need to though.
covered up that big hole right there. Kind of forgot about that. So we're just gonna fill in this part first, and then we'll continue with that. traction with these machines. Just nothing but ice. I hate to waste this stuff, but you just need to be able to get traction. We just can't go anywhere. Even the excavator with the steel tracks just got nothing. As soon as you spin just a little bit, it's just solid ice. And it wasn't ice before, but now it is. It like packs the snow down and just immediately turns it into really slick ice. So we're just using a little bit to sprinkle on there just to get a little traction, that's it. This is all gonna get topsoil or more fill or something, so it's a complete waste, but it allows us to just kind of keep going. Plus, even just walking, you're just slipping, falling. And like I said, that's not even ice, but as soon as you spin on it with the tracks, it is ice. Try not to use too much of it, because you really only need like a 1/2 inch layer on there. I got one more load of stone and I need it for over there, so I don't have a whole lot to spare. So we're all done with the backfilling and trucking some dirt, waterproofing, all that stuff. We also removed all the bracing and just all the wood that was holding everything up. So on the next video, we're going to be prepping and pouring that slab in there. So that'll be pretty interesting. because we're going to have to build an enclosure over top to keep it warm. I have a bunch of plumbing to do in there for a bathroom, as well as just the regular plumbing for the house is going out that way. So we're going to have to fill in some stone in here and just do the plumbing, and we're going to do underfloor heat, radiant heat. So I guess that's it for this video, guys, and I'll catch you on the next one.